This is a very difficult question, but if I was going to ask anyone, it would have to be you. What's one of the first things they should be considering at this moment to safeguard their future, their family, their finances?
I don't think it's a difficult question. I think it's very clear. They have to understand how the life cycle works.
With robotics accelerating at the speed of light, with Optimus and Tesla and all the things they're doing and all these other companies, humanoid robots, and then with artificial intelligence having trillions of dollars plowed into it and accelerating, we're in this crazy boom at the moment. With these two things combining, you're going to be able to have a humanoid robot that can navigate human spaces, but is also smarter than I am. Lawyers, accountants, lots of people in the medical profession. Why would one need them if we had a humanoid robot that is smarter than all of us and has a PhD in everything?
There'll be a limited number of winners and a bunch of losers. And I think it's going to create much greater polarity. I'm a practical guy. I'm a realistic guy. I made my money, I'm in the business, and it's my nature to try to be realistic and to bet on how things will transpire. If you look at the probabilities and the paths and the symptoms, there is a challenge. The United States is facing a number of those challenges. And we're at a moment where it's a question of whether the system and the people can get control of the situations and deal with it strongly in a way where they are not fighting to the point of damaging each other and damaging the prospects for the future. The United States and China are in the big technology competitions. The others are really not in the game. They don't have the money, this innovation and talent, in a sense, to play at that scale, and so on. So we have a great, technology war, which can be used to create great advances, but at the same time could be used for great conflicts. And so now the question is going to be, who wins the technology war? Because the winner of the technology war is going to win all wars, okay? In other words, they'll win the economic war. They'll win the geopolitical war because technology. And I'm not saying anything that hasn't repeated through history.
Well, what happens next in history?
Well, usually there's a big fight for control.
Political revolutions and things like that.
The system breaks down because they don't trust the system. Will the legal system resolve that? Will the parliamentary system resolve these disputes satisfactorily to the satisfaction of those people and the other people who have different points of view? And the sides won't believe it. And this goes back to Rome. It goes back to Caesar, the Senate. This goes back through history all the time.
Do you think much about timeframes? Because when I was going through the changing world order, there seems to be somewhat consistent or predictable timeframes when these transitions happen. Do you think about where we are?
Well, they're long-term big cycles. It's like a life cycle. On average, they are about a life cycle, about 80 years.
We're 80 years from World War II.
80 years from World War II, yeah.
And you're seeing the symptoms?
Yeah. Symptoms are clear. They're all in that book. You can see the charts of all the systems.
Is it something to be worried about or concerned about? If you're in the United States?
No shit. I mean, yes. And then the question is how you as an individual handle it.
How do I as an individual handle it?
Well, first of all, I think you have to be aware of the situation and the risks.
For me and my family, though, in terms of risks and how I should counteract those risks, is it a case of me saving for a rainy day?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
There's a saying in Hong Kong, a Chinese saying, which is a smart rabbit has 3 holes. And what that means is you can see, is it the UK or the US? And I can then move to the better place and get out of the place that's a terrible place. So can I successfully be an immigrant or whatever and change my location? Throughout history, that's been important. So the ability to go to good places and away from bad places. So that's part of it. Secondly, building your financial strength is important, which has to do with how you earn, spend, and save. That will determine the amount. And then what you do with that amount is invest. And so how you invest is also important. So if you have your financial ability and you can make the move, and then you have knowledge, about what's happening so that you can change things, those are the things you need.
So I want to ask about your early life cycle and what the most important strategic or wealth generating decisions you made that you would encourage everybody to consider if their nature is aligned to yours.
Okay. My nature was I hated school. I didn't like the whole thing of remembering this and then give it back to me. And there were these, history like there's William the Conqueror in 1066 and what did he do? And, all of that was what education represented. And when I was 12, a kid, I earned money with odd jobs like I had a paper route and I mowed lawns and I caddied. And I took my caddying money. And when I was 12, everybody was talking about the stock market, so I put some money in the stock market. I didn't know what I was doing, of course, but I picked the stock. That was the only stock I ever heard of that was selling for less than $5 a share. And my reasoning was I could buy more shares, so if it went up, I could make more money. Okay, that was a stupid criteria, but it was a company that was about to go bankrupt, and another company acquired it, and it tripled in price. And I said, I like this game.
Stop scrolling endlessly. You have big dreams and goals for this year. The Mindset app gives you the advice and the push you need. Don't wait for someday. Download Mindset today.
If you make your work and your passion the same thing so that you're really enjoying your work, you'll have an enjoyable, satisfactory life, and you'll probably be better at your career as a result. You'll probably advance and so on, so you have a happier life, and you will have probably a more successful life. But it is true that the careers that you choose will have financial implications. And if you say, I want to be a poet or something along those lines, you better consider the financial implications of that. That doesn't mean that you have to go make a ton of money, because I think a lot of people fall into that trap, that they think the money is, like vast amounts of money is vast amounts of success. And that's not true. In other words, is your work and your passion the same thing? So I think that what brings people happiness is meaningful work and meaningful relationships. If you have meaningful work, that you're into and your passion and your work's the same thing, and you have meaningful relationships, whether through that work or beyond, you're going to have probably a great life. Okay. And so you have to keep that in mind. And it doesn't have much correlation past a certain level of money. It doesn't have much correlation with that well-being with the amount of money you have. And if you see studies across societies, and you'll see that past that certain basic level, there's no correlation between the amount of money they have and how much happiness they have or well-being. Okay. That the highest level of correlation across societies and studies of happiness and well-being is community. Do you have a sense of community? Do you have those around you who are your community? You'll live longer that way. You'll have a more joyous life, and it'll be a better outcome. But anyway, so thinking about those things, I think, is important.
AI is a bit of an alien that seems to have entered the room, and is going to change almost every industry.
Great.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, truly. If you are working with it, controlling it, if it's a good partner, to be able to get a lot of leverage, it's truly fantastic. As I said, in almost everything I did, we had the criteria, we had the systemized. Would you do that? Would you not do that? How does reality work? What are the principles? And so it's a fantastic leveraging. Like I described, I would make the decision-making model, like the computer chess game that would make it. Well, now it's better than ever, those resources. So it leverages you enormously. We will not need a lot of those jobs for the reasons that you're saying, okay? And then the question is what our society does.
And what do you think we do in such a world?
I think we fight over about what we do, unfortunately. But as I say, I don't think we have escaped a world where most people, to have a healthy society, most people have to be productive and prosperous. And there certainly needs to be a redistribution policy. I don't think that's just a redistribution of money policy, because uselessness and money may not be a great combination. So I think that that has to be figured out. And the question is whether we're too fragmented to figure that out and agree on it. And I'm worried about that. We have to enable people. Okay. What works is finding great people, talented people, and identifying those who you want to bet on and enabling them. And that works. That's the most important force, much more important than money. Okay, because you can see who's got the money and power and where did they come from? Where did NVIDIA come from? Where do they all come from? Okay, they're guys like you, entrepreneur in a sense, who's been enabled, okay, because you have the talent and people want to bet on you, and that's the capital market. So they give you money to help enable you because they want to bet on you, and then good things happen.